Welcome to the Inject Creativity Live Chat Show. This 30-minute webinar is live on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. And your comments and questions via these platforms are most welcome. Please keep them kind and respectful. Following this event, you are welcome to join us via the Blue Jeans online conferencing app for a 1-hour NESA-accredited workshop with our guest presenter. Now, here's your host, Dr. Tim Kitchen.
Well, thank you very much, Rob the Robot, and welcome to our 35th and final episode of the Inject Creativity Live Chat Show for 2020, a special episode focusing on the popular Adobe Creative Educator program. Welcome to all who are watching this live around the globe on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and via the Australasian Adobe in Education Facebook group. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 16th of December, 2020. I'm your host, Tim Kitchen, Adobe's Senior Education Specialist for the Asia Pacific region. Before I introduce my co-host, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. We respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders past, present and future, as well as all Indigenous peoples from the lands we reach out to during this event. We acknowledge their stories, their traditions and their living cultures. We acknowledge them as the first peoples in our lands, the first scientists and the first creatives, and we commit to building a brighter future together. Please welcome my amazing co-host, for the last time in 2020, Erin Raithke. Let's bring Erin up. Hi, Erin. How are you going?
I am going so well, feeling very festive.
Oh, you are looking very festive. And there seems to be a bit of a delay with me and my technology at the moment. And I'm actually seeing a bit of a delay with you too. I'm hoping it's not recording that way. It's our rehearsal. We noticed I had a delay, and it's just something that's just come onto the computer. So I apologize if the actual broadcast isn't as good as it usually is for this section, but the audio is not delayed, which is good. I hear you've had a good weather up in Queensland there, Erin.
It has been perfect because we have done some work on our lawn. We've top dressed it, slaved away, moved 7 tons sand twice over 2 days. And this rain has been perfect because we've been using our sprinkler sparingly and it's all come up green and beautiful. We managed to quickly mow it right before it all happened. So we're grateful. However, there are some people that have not been having such a good experience. We've had a little bit of localized flooding. I saw a news thing about Bondi Beach this morning where the whole beach has just been swept away. So like some pretty crazy stuff with the weather.
Absolutely. Well, it's been beautiful weather in Melbourne, I have to say, and very warm and humid, which is unusual for Melbourne, but I think that's the reason why my computer's playing up. It's just not used to the heat, this computer, being a Melbourne-based computer. Erin, can you tell us what we can look forward to during this episode?
No worries. Well, I'm looking forward to introducing everyone to our special guest for this episode, Adobe Education leader Paul Mclean from New Zealand, who we haven't seen for a while, and of course, getting everyone excited about the Adobe Creative Educator program.
We'll be hearing from Paul very soon, but helping us moderate and doing a lot of the techie things behind the scenes is my wonderful colleague, Adobe Customer Success Manager, Jerry Wong. Hi, Jerry. Going to bring yourself up, Jerry, or I'll bring you up. There we go. Come and join us, Jerry. I've just taken you off screen, haven't I? There we go. Good. How are you, Jerry?
Oh,
is Jerry muted? He is. Jerry's muted. I think that's the first time he's done that. Need to unmute yourself, Jerry, down at the bottom there with the little image down in the thumbnail. Just click that unmute button.
There it is.
There we go.
Here we go. I think we're having all sorts of technology problems today. Hi, everyone. I'll be moderating the chat. So please ask questions, make comments, and help make this chat show really interactive. Now I have a new Adobe quiz question for you to get the chat happening. So name one of the new features of Premiere Rush that's been announced at Adobe Max 2020.
Good question, Jerry. And we actually have 4 potential responses to that question. And if you get one of the 4 answers right, well, you win the quiz for tonight. So I'm just having a look at the comments that are coming in now. We haven't got any answers yet, so make sure you giving us your response. And Jerry, just want to ask the question again for us.
Sure. So name one of the new features of Premiere Rush announced at MAX 2020.
So note also that we're getting the chat feed from those of you on Facebook and definitely LinkedIn. We can see someone's comment there, and YouTube, but not always from Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you're joining us and you'd like your comments or questions posted and published, please just jump out of Twitter and into the Adobe for Education YouTube channel at youtube.com/Adobe for Education.
And Erin, we've got an answer already, and it's Mayo Mora and Mayho. And she said, let me just bring her response up. She said, push and slide. And
hang on.
we're seeing that response there, Jerry. Do you want to just try it?
Yep.
Your end?
Yeah, we met Maho last week. Oh, sorry, last fortnight, I should say. Hi, Maho.
Nice to see you. And you're absolutely right, because it is some new transitions that are available in Premiere Rush, and push and slide is one of those. So let's give Mayho a round of applause and congratulate her. We're hearing the round of applause. Are we getting that? There we are.
There we are.
We're getting that. There we go. Well done. Congratulations. So that's exciting. And let's just keep moving on. So what have you told us, Erin? You've told us that they can contribute to the chat.
Indeed. We've covered the chat stuff. So we're just going to discuss the format for this year and move into what we're doing for next year, Tim.
Terrific. So we'll be continuing a more relaxed and far less moderated version of the chat during the deeper dive event, where we can all communicate with each other. We'll be crossing to bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe. So Jerry, I think your banner's still up there, if you can manage that. There we go.
All our systems want to go on holidays too.
It does. Let's get rid of the question too, Jerry, that ticker of the question. And just to let the hosts know that I'm actually getting a very different visual to what I normally get. So I'm actually not seeing what's being broadcast at the moment. So we're having all sorts of fun for this session.
Okay. Tim, right now the Blue Jeans link for the deeper dive is on the screen for us.
Lovely. Good. Excellent. Thank you for interpreting that for me. All right. So this will be our last deeper dive event coming up at the top of the hour. We're not running the deeper dive event as of next year, so the format is changing. The new format will be still called Inject Creativity Live, but it'll be a 45-minute live show, and hopefully with a computer that's not going to run into problems like I'm having at the moment. And the presenters who normally present during the deeper dive event will just have one presenter per episode, and they'll be presenting during the chat show, and they'll have a 15 to 20 minute presentation. We're also inviting some education consultants like Paul to come and join us on a regular basis for a quick 5-minute gem, as I'm going to call it, an educational gem from an educational thought leader in this part of the world. And we've got some great thought leaders already queued up for next year's events. So it'll be a 45-minute show, and then after 45 minutes, what's going to happen then, Erin?
We'll have a Blue Jeans segment after each show called the Inject Creativity Fireside Chat. And it will not be recorded, but will give us a space to meet the presenters and for everyone to chat about the content presented.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. A little bit of a casual, because we don't record the fireside chat. You can just throw in your comments. You can even open up your microphone or your cameras, and we can see each other. We can talk to each other. You can meet the presenters, but none of that will be recorded anywhere. So it'll become a very informal conversation. So that's the plan for next year, and I hope you look forward to those 18 shows that we've got planned starting in February next year. Erin, are you ready for the Spark Challenge intro? Let's see if this works.
Well, folks, I hope you're ready for this week's Spark Challenge.
So your Spark Challenge for this episode is to create a Spark post based on something that you enjoyed during this event. No qualifiers, no requirements, just a post on whatever tickled your fancy.
And we'll be keeping an eye out for your link to the post in the deeper dive event. So good luck with that. Erin, are you able to share your screen and just show people how to get into the templates that are
Most certainly. Well, I'm already logged into Spark, so you can see my monitor up here. Now, you can see we already have a lot of our templates to sit across the top. So if you can just make out my cursor, I'm going to create my favorite format, which is an Instagram post, a nice little square one. So I'm going to left click on that one. And it'll just take a couple of moments for the screen to load. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the left-hand side of the screen, and you can see here all of these fabulous templates that have been made by some very talented creatives. Oh, I could hear myself for a second there. So I love my puppy, so I am going to choose this lovely little wolf dog shelter template. So I'm going to click the Create from this template button on the right-hand side of this pop-out, and it is going to open it up in Spark Post for me. Now, the really beautiful thing about this template is that it was already using some graphics, some icons. It's got some preloaded text in there, and it's got this beautiful picture of this dog. So if I wanted to change this to a Christmas themed one, I could select that icon, and you see here on the right hand side it pops up the word replace. So if I want to switch that icon out and I want to search for a doggo, there's all of the different doggo ones. And if I want to change it to a holiday themed one, it's got actual vacation ones. Well, that's a bit depressing at the moment. Let's go to Christmas. See what pops up. There we go. So that one looks good to me. So all I have to do is click it, and it replaces the icon that was already there with this new one out of the library. So you can go in and you can play with all of these elements as much as your heart desires. And don't forget to, once you're done and you're ready to share it during the deeper dive, go to the share button, which is at the top right-hand corner of your screen, left click that once and select publish. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a link there for you to share. And all you need to do is select the link button. It generates it for you, and make sure that you copy that link when it appears and drop it into the Blue Jeans chat once we jump into the deeper dive later.
Well done, Erin. And we've just had a comment here from Timothy Cosgrove all the way from Toronto. He says, good morning, everyone, from a very cold -8 degrees Celsius in Toronto with a wind chill of -17 degrees, 10 centimetres of snow expected this morning. Well, I tell you what, Timothy Cosgrove, if you could bring some of that cool weather into my studio at the moment, my studio would appreciate it, because I'm running quite hot and I'm getting almost a 2-second delay, which is why it's looking a little bit weird at the moment. But nice to see you, Timothy.
A bucket of snow with a pedestal fan behind it probably would do the trick, right?
That should do the job. Erin, can you please introduce our special guest for tonight?
No worries, Tim. It's my great pleasure to introduce Adobe education leader Paul Mclean from our favourite New Zealand education consultant from across the ditch.
Good afternoon or good evening. How are you?
Very good, Paul. Nice to see you, mate. It's been a little while. You've relocated yourself and your family, which is why you haven't been able to join us in the last few weeks. Tell us about this new opportunity that's happened in your world.
Well, thanks, Tim. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Mid-COVID, I had a bit of a rethink about what I wanted to do in terms of my own future pathway. I had a couple of opportunities to go back into a more commercial pursuit. Got a couple of pretty decent offers to do so, but right at the last minute, I saw an opportunity online in the middle of New Zealand. Very cool here, Tim, you'll be pleased to know, in terms of the weather, right next to an active volcano, 13 kilometers away, packed up the family, sold the house, and decided to come down and jump into a digital education creative program down here, which might, we hope, rekindle a region, which is one of my big passions. How do we actually drive real world learning into a new setting in a pretty rugged environment and actually transform a region, quite kind of like a creative Genesis effect. So it's been a hell of a 3 months to get down here and get this all set up. And as I said earlier in the pre-session, I've been very creative about how I'm connecting in to speak to you today. So if I drop out, I apologize.
That's
Oh,
great.
you're always forgiven. That sounds absolutely amazing. So, Paul, you mentioned that you had to be creative in how you were joining us tonight. So I'd also like to segue into asking you how important creativity is, not just in connecting with us this evening, but in education in general to you.
Oh, awesome question, actually. When I think about that response, I think about the journey I've had to get down here into Owakuni, Ruapeo, and all of the businesses I've interacted with to make all of that possible, whether it be removals, whether it be new telecoms, whether it be actual different services I've picked up to make it happen. And everybody's doing things differently, fundamentally differently to the products and services that they're providing. So they've got to be creative to make things happen in this particular environment. So when I think about the kids in schools and when I think about all these businesses and practitioners, it's absolutely fundamental in this day and age that we do think about things differently, and we put on a creative hat to understand why we're doing something, what we need to do differently, and how to go about it.
I'm glad you're putting on a creative hat now, Paul. It's looking like a lovely creative hat. So tell us, what will you be sharing with us during the Deeper Dive event?
Well, I've been challenged recently to come up with a response to, can we measure creativity? And a lot of people say, well, no, we can't. And I say that's a cop-out. So I've come up with a way of explaining how we can actually measure creativity without measuring creativity.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because that which is observed is changed by the observations. So, yeah, you want that really genuine record of a genuine experience, and not people trying to do a little dance to make it look like they're doing something.
Absolutely. So that'll be the talk today. How can we measure creativity? I think we can by doing it differently.
Well, that's perfect timing for this session, because we'll be focusing, the rest of the program is on the Adobe Creative Educator program. So there's so many links between what you'll be sharing and what this program is about. Before we jump into that particular program, we had a December update brought out and published this week. And Erin, how did we find that update?
Indeed. So if you haven't seen it yet, it can be found at bit.ly/adobe-dec20. That is a capital D for those short URLs. They are case sensitive. Here's a video summary about the update.
Welcome to the
We lost it.
Welcome to the December 2020 Adobe in Education update for Australasia. What a strange year 2020 has been. So far this year, I have run about 170 webinars across the Asia Pacific region, impacting nearly 17,000 teachers and students. And I've been so impressed with the adaptability, creativity, and ingenuity of everyone I've worked with, and their willingness to learn new communication skills. Let's continue this momentum of digital literacy and creativity as we take a more blended approach to teaching and learning into 2021. This update features information about the new EduTech and Adobe webinar coming up on February the 10th, the Get to Know Your Adobe Apps series starting February the 23rd, the new Adobe Creative Educator program guided webinars starting on January the 20th, information about the Inject Creativity live shows for 2021, Holiday Spark activities, the ACCE conference for 2021, Craig Delmere Power's Behance live sessions, and lots more. The full December update can be found via bit.ly/adobe-edu-dec20. Please do share this update with your colleagues and wider education networks, and take particular notice of the planned webinar series starting in February, and register your involvement. I hope to see you at some of these events next year. Until then, have a great holiday break, and don't forget to keep being creative. If you haven't already enrolled in the Adobe Creative Educator program, then why not do it now? In fact, type the following. What are we going to type, Erin? You tell us.
You're going to type the following URL into your browser, which is edx.adobe.com/Adobe-creative-educator. Then scroll down to find the Start Level 1 button. This will open the Creativity for All course. Then click the Enroll Now button.
So let me go ahead and do that. I'm just bringing across the Adobe Creative Educator Program website, and with that link that you can see tracking along the base of the screen. And when you scroll down a little bit, you'll see where it says Level 1 Adobe Creative Educator, and below that it says Start Level 1. So when you click on Start Level 1, hopefully you don't have to wait as long as I just did then. Having some little technical issues, if you haven't already picked up. And this is where you can click Enroll Now. You can find out about the course, and you can watch one of the videos that is about the course. But if we click on Enroll Now, that's how you get started in the program. And what we're going to be doing for the rest of this chat show, and then most of the deeper dive event, is we're actually going to be working through the Creativity for All course. We're actually going to do the first half of the course together. So go ahead now and enroll, and then we'll hold your hand through the first half of this particular course.
Yeah, it's a great course too. I really enjoy doing it.
Good. So level 1 of the Adobe Creative Educator program involves completing this particular course and submitting an artifact, like a Spark post, which is what some of you are doing right now anyway.
Understanding the power of creativity, why it matters, and how to leverage it into your teaching helps prepare students with the 21st century skills they need to succeed.
This Creativity for All course helps educators learn what creativity is, why it's important, and how to develop creativity in their students across subjects and grade levels, from young children through to university students and adult learners.
During the course, you'll get tips on how to cultivate and assess creativity, how Adobe's creative tools can help you do this, and how to stay connected to Adobe's creative educator community.
You'll be hearing from expert educators and researchers, including those from our Adobe team. They will help you transform learning experiences to foster and support student creativity in any content area.
Let's have a look at the opening video from the course titled Making the Case for Creativity.
And hopefully I don't have a delay here. Let's see how we go.
Creativity is important for every learner because it is an essential 21st century skill.
Every learner should have the opportunity to explore creativity in all content areas. By doing so, it will help the learner see that they themselves can have a creative mindset.
Regardless of the field or the problem, we're going to need creativity as we move forward.
Creativity is important for every learner because it allows students to make their work unique. And in an education system where we don't enforce creativity and free thought, then students are taught to work in a formulaic manner.
And it helps students to innovate and push their knowledge much further than just the things they're being taught in the classroom.
Creativity equals curiosity. And if we can get students to be curious about presenting on a certain topic that they connect with, then that information tends to stick with them just a little bit longer. And that's where the spark begins.
There are so many ways to define creativity. In science, we define creativity as an idea that is novel, good, and useful. It's our brains doing what they do. In today's fast-changing world, with the emergence of new technologies, new creative industries, and new ways of working together, creativity is as important as literacy itself. And if students are given the opportunity to approach the world creatively, we can empower them to succeed in life. When it comes to careers, the World Economic Forum lists creativity as one of the most in-demand skills groups required by employers today, a demand that's set to grow.
Our role as educators is to provide opportunities for kids to be creative. We need to recognize it when it happens and give guidance and feedback as students do creative work.
And so when we look at the role of educators, they have to be the ones that are going to mentor and cultivate that community, that culture in the classroom where it's exciting and it's admired
Our role is to help students in what I call the 5 C's: communication, collaboration, the creative process, creative problem solving, and critical thinking.
As educators, we must give them a psychologically safe platform to explore these creative thoughts. Most importantly, we need to provide constant encouragement and allow them to rise to that creative occasion.
In terms of learning outcomes, studies show that students who are taught content using analytical, practical, and creative thinking skills are more successful across academic disciplines than those taught using traditional forms of instruction. And in our lives generally, research also indicates that creativity potential can be a better predictor of lifetime achievement, a more accurate indicator than IQ, high school grades, or peer judgments. And studies conducted by LinkedIn and Adobe find even more evidence that people with creative skills add value in the workplace and are happier at their jobs.
There is so much uncertainty with the way the world will look in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Now more than ever, allowing students to take creative risks and problem solve with the resources that they have available to them is so important.
And creativity is the driving force that is going to make any young person right now much more valuable in whatever company, whatever profession, whatever industry they are going to focus their efforts in.
All of us need to be able to think about things flexibly, to take risks, to solve problems, to move on when things aren't going exactly the way we expect, to be resilient, and to communicate. And all of those things are key aspects of creativity.
Unlike the industrial age, the conceptual age no longer requires us to just know things. Logic, reasoning, and analysis are not enough. As learners, we have to have a deeper understanding of how to apply knowledge in a variety of situations. This is where infusing learning with the creative process and exploration comes into play. That infusion allows for abilities to be developed that are required for future success and are most closely associated with right brain activities like big picture thinking, pattern recognition, empathy, and artistry. Art and creativity are no longer an indulgence, but a necessity.
So how can educators help? Our job as educators is to develop creativity in our students across all disciplines and at every level, from kindergarten through college. Whether it supports self-expression, deep thinking and engagement, or problem solving, creativity is essential for all of us. And Adobe is here to support educators, students, and classrooms foster creativity.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching.
And I think we'll just pause it there. Now, Erin, just let me know, did that video look okay to you? Because it looked terrible from my end.
It looked fine to me, and I'm looking at it on the preview of YouTube over here, and it looks like it was behaving itself nicely.
Good. So it just proves that it's my end that's having all the issues tonight. All right, we'll be continuing level 1 of the Adobe Creative Educator program during the Deeper Dive event. Erin and I have a few announcements to share before we conclude the final Inject Creativity Live chat show for 2020 and the final one for this particular format.
So, starting in February next year, Adobe and Education team will be running a new series of webinars that will target specific education levels.
We are labeling these events Get to Know Your Adobe Apps. And we have one set of sessions for upper primary and lower secondary teachers, one for senior secondary teachers,
and a set of sessions especially for those involved in post-secondary education like me. Presenters will include Dr. Tim Kitchen, as well as some of Adobe's amazing solution consultants and Adobe education leaders. Use the QR code on screen or link to find out more and register your interest. Please also share these events with your colleagues and wider education networks.
The first of each of these sessions is an overview of a number of Adobe applications, and then we'll survey the audience to see what they prefer in terms of a more comprehensive, deeper dive during the following sessions.
Each session will go for 90 minutes starting at 4:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time and then repeat the next day or soon after at 6:30 p.m. to cater for the Western States, Southeast Asia, and anyone who can't make the 4:30 p.m. time slot.
Join us on the 10th of February, 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time for a special Adobe in Education webinar in conjunction with EduTech.
Guest panelists will include Lauren Sayer, now from Melbourne Girls Grammar, Joe Cohen from the New South Wales Department of Education T4L team, and Deb Hicks from the Victorian Department of Education. Note the link and the QR code on this slide.
Encourage your colleagues to join, especially if they're new to the world of Adobe in education, so that they can find out how and why Adobe tools are making such a positive difference to a wide variety of curriculum areas and levels. To help encourage more teachers to take on the Adobe Creative Educator program, we've just announced 2 webinars based on going through level 1 of the course, just like we're doing now in this particular show, and to do it as a group rather than as a self-paced course.
These are called Adobe Creative Educator guided webinars, and the first is planned for Wednesday the 20th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and the second one is later on Tuesday the 13th of April from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is a school holiday period for most Aussie states.
If you're on Facebook and you're not already a member of the Australasian Adobe Education Community Facebook group, please join via facebook.com/groups/AUSAEL.
This is a great way to keep regularly involved with Adobe in education and the wider community.
Well, thank you very much, Paul and Erin and Jerry, for this particular chat show. It's time now to move to Blue Jeans for our Deeper Dive event, but we can't do that unless we play the exit. Now, you realise this is the last time we ever play the exit video with Rob the Robot. I think Rob will appear in the new format in some way, but enjoy this being the last time we see Rob in this particular format, and then we'll see you in Blue Jeans very soon.
Thank you for being part of this week's Inject Creativity Live chat show. We hope you enjoyed it and found it edutaining. It's now time to switch over to Blue Jeans via bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for the Deeper Dive show, which is just about to start. See you there.
See ya.